I went viral for transforming myself from this to this, and everyone's calling it witchcraft, so let's break down everything I actually did. Let's start with my body type. My body type is called a dramatic in the Kibbe body typing system, and the whole idea behind this body typing system is embracing the lines that naturally exist in your body instead of fighting against them and wearing what's trending or what looks good on another woman with a completely different bone structure. The idea is that your body is already perfect as it is, and when you dress in harmony with your natural structure, everything becomes one cohesive picture. When you dress against your natural harmony, the differences will be emphasized. This is the law of contrast, and if you've heard of color analysis and color seasons, well, this is the same idea, but with lines and shapes rather than with color, which we will get to in the next part of the video. But for instance, my bone structure and facial bones are long, sharp, and narrow rather than wide, blunt, short, or soft. So when I put myself in something very wide and oversized like this, those lines are fighting against my own. Instead of making me look relaxed and effortless, something looks off to your eye because it doesn't match my structure, and so I look even sharper and out of place in comparison. But put an oversized button down like this on a natural body type, and it can look incredibly chic because naturals have width in their bone structure. The width of the garment is repeating something that already exists in them and therefore looks harmonious, and everything is one cohesive picture. Nothing's out of place. Dramatics have very sharp features, and a lot of people have a tendency to want to try to soften those features, but that's actually going to create the opposite effect of what you're trying to achieve. You don't know how many times I have had hairdressers want to give me wispy layers and bangs to soften my sharp features. In reality, all that's going to do is make my features look even harsher and sharper in comparison to the softer, wispy hair, because when you surround sharp features with very soft, rounded, or relaxed lines, the sharpness becomes more emphasized through contrast. Something looks sharper and narrower when it's in comparison to something relaxed and wider next to it. When all the lines are doing the same thing, that sharpness looks right and harmonious instead of off. So let's look at how I'm actually honoring my long, narrow lines in this outfit. There's a lot happening here. I have long vertical earrings. I have long vertical lines created by the cut of the top. And this high neckline draws your eye inward narrowly rather than outward and away from my body like this neckline does here. Now there is some draping in this shirt, but dramatics can absolutely wear draped fabric. It just works best when that draping falls vertically and narrowly rather than outward and away from the body, and when it's not so excessive that it completely hides the structure underneath it. It's a common misconception that dramatics can only wear sharp structured fabric, and even though that looks amazing on them as well, what matters most is that the eye is traveling up and down the body in one cohesive narrow line, mimicking the narrow line of their bone structure. So now the hair. Dramatics can actually wear short hair very well. It just generally needs to maintain a sleek, sharp feeling. Let's use naturals as a comparison again. Natural body types often look amazing with hair that's undone and tousled, and specifically when it adds width to their silhouette. On a dramatic, that same kind of styling can make us look frumpy and emphasize our sharpness and make us look messy or out of place because our bones are narrow, not wide, and our overall impression is sleek and defined rather than relaxed and open. Zendaya is a great example of this. She's also a dramatic, so compare her sleek, intentional short hairstyles to her as Rue in Euphoria. Rue is supposed to look disheveled as a character, and the combination of undone hair and oversized, relaxed silhouettes helps create exactly that effect. Let's use the natural versus dramatic comparison again with Blake Lively as Serena in Gossip Girl. Blake Lively is a natural, which means her bones are wide and blunt, and her overall impression is open, relaxed, and a bit free-spirited. So when she's dressed in the same relaxed lines and messy hair, she doesn't look disheveled or messy at all. Instead, she looks cool and effortless because the relaxed lines are in harmony with her natural bone structure. So back to the hair in the before and the after. The problem here isn't necessarily that my hair is short, although the longer hair does give us another vertical line. The main problem really comes down to how the short hair is styled. In the after, I added quite a bit of height on top and pulled the sides in really sleek. So I'm visually extending my vertical line while minimizing width, creating a narrow line. Here, my short hair is basically doing the opposite. It's poofy at the sides, which creates width, and I have this bang coming across my forehead that visually cuts off some of the length in my face. For dramatics specifically, we want to style the hair up and away from the face because that's going to extend the long vertical line instead of interrupting it. Now let's get into color because this is making just as much of a difference. I have a very warm undertone and I'm very bright and clear in my coloring. So my best colors are bright and warm like this coral rather than cool and muted. This top is both muted and more cool toned, so it's completely disconnected from my natural coloring. You can see how much more tired and drained my skin looks here, and if you want a direct comparison of similar colors with no makeup, check out this draping video I did where you can see just how much impact the right color makes on my bare skin compared to a cool muted green like this. When I'm wearing my best colors and my makeup and my hair are in my best colors too, my skin looks lifted, clearer, and healthier. I even get a lot more color to my skin. In comparison, this color makes me look much more sickly and dragged down. And this high neckline in the shirt is actually benefiting me in multiple ways. Not only is the narrow high neckline great for my dramatic lines because it pulls the eye inward to accommodate narrow, but it also puts one of my best colors directly underneath my jaw, which is where color has the greatest impact on your face. In your best colors, you'll literally see your jawline and facial features appear more lifted and defined. Then I have some small things: winged liner, which creates another sharp angled line that repeats the sharpness in my bone structure. I've also made my brows more defined and angular rather than soft and rounded, again repeating what naturally exists in my face. And because my coloring is bright, shine is really important on me. My hair and extensions in the after look much shinier because I've styled everything sleekly and added hairspray. My earrings are a very shiny gold rather than an antique or muted gold or a silver, which would also be the wrong undertone for me. And even the fabrics of my top and skirt have some sheen to them rather than being very matte, washed, or textured. Something like that would look more harmonious on someone that is muted in their coloring rather than bright. This shine actually works for both my bright coloring and my dramatic essence, as shine often reads as sleeker than a more matte or textured look, and sleek is exactly what we want visually for a dramatic. My skirt is a long brown skirt, and because the top and skirt are both warm toned and they exist within one cohesive color palette, there isn't a harsh color break at my waist cutting my body in half, which is going to help us extend the vertical line. And the draping nature of the top reinforces that even more because it almost looks like the top is flowing directly into the skirt rather than like I'm wearing two completely separate blocks of clothing. So visually, your eye travels up and down my silhouette in one long, narrow, uninterrupted line, which is exactly what we want for a dramatic. But if I were styling someone with a flamboyant gamine body type, I'd actually be doing the opposite. Their bone structure is much more compact, so creating visual breaks through contrasting colors, shapes, and details can be incredibly harmonious on them, and long vertical lines like these will create the opposite effect on them. The same thing that looks completely wrong on one person can be exactly what makes another person shine, and that's what I love so much about style systems based on your features rather than on trends or trying to apply what looks good on one person onto another person who has a completely different type of beauty. And finally, even though I'm pregnant here, if you're discovering this system for the first time, it's worth noting that your body type is based on your underlying bone structure rather than your weight, so it's completely different than body typing systems where there is one ideal body type and all the styling tips are making an attempt to fit people into one specific mold. And pregnancy or weight gain isn't going to change what looks good on my body type. So ultimately, when you combine the right lines, the right colors, the right hair, makeup, accessories, fabrics, and even these tiny details like shine and texture, none of them are individually responsible for the transformation. They're all repeating things that already exist in my body rather than fighting my natural structure and coloring, and that's why it creates such a dramatic difference.